You ever think about how the biggest inventions usually come from someone just trying to fix something annoying? Here are 5 stories from 5 regular people. Their weird little problems turned into global game-changer solutions. After each one, you'll get 3 quiz questions. Are you ready? Let's see what sticks. Ever wonder how something as simple as a sticky note ended up changing the way the world works? The story of the Post-it note actually started with a failed invention. Back in the 1960s, a scientist at 3M named Dr. Spencer Silver was trying to make a super strong adhesive. Instead, he accidentally created a weak one, an adhesive that stuck, but barely. It didn't bond hard, and you could peel it off without damage. Not exactly what his bosses were looking for, but Spencer didn't give up. He became known as Mr. Persistent because he kept telling anyone who'd listen, "Hey, I think this might be useful someday." Enter Art Fry, another 3M scientist who had a completely different problem. He sang in a church choir and kept losing his paper bookmarks out of his hymnal. He remembered Spencer's weak glue and had an idea. What if I use that sticky stuff to make bookmarks that don't fall out? Boom, eureka moment. The two teamed up and started leaving each other notes on this new product around the office. People loved it. It wasn't just a bookmark anymore. It was communication in sticky form. But the real game changer, the Boise Blitz. In 1977, 3M gave out free samples in Boise, Idaho, and people couldn't get enough. Sales exploded, and by 1980, Post-it notes were officially on the market. And the yellow color, total accident. It was just the scrap paper the lab had lying around. Since then, Post-it notes have gone global, been featured in movies, reinvented for the digital age, and even stuck to brick walls in the rain. From total flop to iconic success, thanks to a little mistake, a lot of persistence, and a sticky idea that finally stuck. In the story of the American West, few inventions changed the land like barbed wire. It didn't just fence in cattle, it fenced in a whole way of life. Before the 1870s, the plains were open and wild. Cattle roamed free, farmers couldn't keep crops safe. There were no trees for fences, no rocks for walls. And when you tried to stop a 1,000-pound longhorn with a plain wire fence, it just walked right through it. That changed in 1868 when Michael Kelly twisted 2 wires together and added sharp barbs. They called it the thorny fence. Cattle kept their distance, the wire held, but the real breakthrough came in 1874 with a farmer named Joseph Glidden in DeKalb, Illinois. He didn't just improve the design, he invented the machine to mass-produce it. His barbs locked tight on the wire, and by the time the dust settled from all the patent battles, Glidden's wire had won. And with that, the West was never the same. Barbed wire turned endless open plains into patchworks of property lines. Ranchers fenced off land. Native Americans, forced off their traditional routes, called it the Devil's Rope. Wildlife, buffalo, deer, even wild horses, got trapped, tangled, and pushed out. Fences marked ownership in a place that once had none. By the late 1800s, it was used by militaries to secure camps. The British used it in South Africa. In World War I, it became a weapon, laid in coils across battlefields, slowing enemy troops. Even today, it's everywhere. Around prisons, military bases, construction sites, a tool of control as much as containment. Simple, ruthless, effective. Barbed wire didn't just reshape the land, it reshaped power. Long before it became a global sport with millionaire champions, golf was just a stick, a ball, and a target. Civilizations all over the world had their versions. The Romans had Paganica, where players hit feather-filled leather balls with bent tree branches. In China, there was Chuawan, a courtly game during the Song dynasty involving hitting a small ball toward a hole. The Dutch played Kolven, which gave golf its name. In medieval France, there was Jeu de Maille, and in Scotland, where it stuck, people played a game called Golf. That's where the modern game begins. In 1457, Scottish King James II banned golf. Not because he hated it, but because soldiers were skipping archery practice. The ban didn't last. By 1502, it was lifted, and James IV bought himself golf clubs. From there, it became a royal pastime. Mary, Queen of Scots, is considered the first female golfer. In 1744, Scotland got its first written golf rules. In 1860, the first Open Championship was held, and by the late 1800s, golf spread far beyond Scotland. Courses popped up in India, Australia, and Japan. In America, the sport started slowly. Savannah Golf Club was formed in 1794, but didn't explode until after the Civil War. By 1894, the USGA was formed, followed by the PGA in 1916. Then came modernity, new materials, better balls, televised tournaments. The 20th century gave us graphite shafts, metal woods, and global stars. Today, golf is played on over 38,000 courses worldwide, from the winds of St. Andrews to the greens of Augusta, from Kobe to Cape Town. Back in 2002, three friends from Boulder, Colorado, Scott Siemens, Lyndon Hansen, and George Bodecker Jr., wanted to make the perfect boating shoe. Something slip-resistant, waterproof, and comfortable. What they found was a weird, foamy material called Crosslite. Not rubber, not plastic, just this strange, cushiony resin that molded to your foot. It was light, odor-resistant, and super comfy. Their first model, the Beach, debuted at a boat show in Florida, and to everyone's surprise, it blew up. Not just with boaters, but with chefs, nurses, gardeners, anyone on their feet all day. By 2006, Crocs went public and were worth over $1 billion. But then came the backlash. Fashion critics dragged them through the mud. People called them the ugliest shoe ever made. Still, Crocs kept selling, especially after they released gibbets, little charms you could snap into the holes to personalize them. By 2008, the company hit a wall. Too many stores, too many styles, and not enough demand. Then the 2008 financial crisis smacked them. Crocs nearly collapsed, so they hit reset, shut stores, cut costs, and focused back on the classic clogs. Slowly, the comeback began, and by the late 2010s, Crocs were trending again. Collaborations with Post Malone, Balenciaga, and even KFC turned heads. The pandemic sealed the deal. Working from home, people ditched dress shoes for comfort, and Crocs sales exploded. In 2021 alone, the brand pulled in over $2.3 billion. Love, M or not, Crocs went from boat decks to runways, hospitals to TikTok, and proved that ugly can be iconic. The first mention of anything like a yo-yo goes all the way back to ancient Greece, around 500 BC, where kids played with terracotta discs. It's believed the idea may have come from China or Egypt even earlier. These early versions probably weren't for intense trick battles, though, more like ceremonial toys offered to the gods once kids came of age. The toy kept popping up in different places: India, France, England. In the late 1700s, it became a trend among the French aristocracy. They called it the émigrette, a name that reflected their lives during the French Revolution, when many had to flee the country. Apparently, some nobles even yo-yoed to calm their nerves before heading to the guillotine. Yep, real story. The British picked it up next, calling it a bandolier. Even the Prince of Wales played with one. But the yo-yo didn't make serious waves in the US until the early 1900s, when a man named Pedro Flores brought the Filipino version to California. His yo-yo was special. It had a string looped around the axle, not tied. That made it spin and sleep at the bottom, which meant tricks. Lots of them. In the late 1920s, entrepreneur Donald Duncan bought Flores' company and turned the yo-yo into a cultural phenomenon. He even trademarked the word yo-yo until 1965, when the courts ruled it had become too common to be protected. Since then, yo-yos have gone from wooden toys to high-tech gadgets with ball bearings, clutches, even brains. They've flown into space, literally. and while they've dipped in and out of fashion, they always, just like the toy itself, come back. 5 stories, 5 problems, 5 everyday people who figured something out. Not because they were geniuses, because they paid attention. Want more stories like this? Hit subscribe, and if you aced the quiz, let us know in the comments so we can pretend we're not impressed. Alright. Bullseye quiz time. What was Dr. Spencer Silver originally trying to invent when he created the adhesive used in post-it notes? The answer is a super strong adhesive. Who came up with the idea to use the weak adhesive for bookmarks that wouldn't fall out of a hymnal? The answer is Art Fry. What marketing move helped launch post-it notes into mass popularity in 1977? The answer is the Boise Blitz, where free samples were given out in Boise, Idaho. Which country is most associated with the origin of modern golf? The answer is Scotland. What was the main reason King James II banned golf in 1457? The answer is it was distracting soldiers from practicing archery. What ancient Chinese game involved hitting a ball toward a hole and may have influenced golf? The answer is Chuawan. Who invented the first version of barbed wire fencing using twisted double strands? The answer is Michael Kelly. What nickname did Native Americans give barbed wire after it disrupted the traditional lands? The answer is the Devil's Rope. Why was Joseph Glidden's barbed wire design considered the most successful? The answer is he invented a way to lock barbs in place and mass-produce the wire, making it stronger and widely available. What material are Crocs primarily made from? The answer is Croslite. What nearly caused Crocs to go bankrupt in the late 2000s? The answer is overexpansion combined with the 2008 financial crisis. Which product feature allowed wearers to personalize the Crocs and contributed to the brand's revival? The answer is Gibbert's Charms. Who popularized the modern yo-yo in the United States by launching a company in California in 1928? The answer is Pedro Flores. Why did the US court rule that Duncan's trademark on the word yo-yo was invalid in 1965? The answer is because the term had become too widespread and generic to be trademarked. What discovery was made about the yo-yo's behavior during the 1985 NASA mission? The answer is without gravity, the yo-yo couldn't sleep and had to be thrown instead of dropped.